Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Elemental Evan Show. On this week's Wellness Wednesday episode, we are covering the last of the 4 essential elements that are key to improving your health. So for those of you who are just tuning into this episode and you haven't listened to the last few weeks' episodes, I am covering all of the elements that are necessary to connect to improve our health, because as you know, this show is called Elemental Evan, and I believe that through our connection to the elements, we can truly have our highest level of health and just be at our best version possible. And realistically, all of these elements make up different proponents of our health. And if we can connect to them properly and really, have the best quality in these elements, then we can really be the best quality self that we could possibly be. So that's why I'm covering these different elements. And if you haven't already heard the earth, water, or fire episode, then please go ahead and go back to those and listen to them as well after this episode. But today I have one of my favorite elements. It is air. And this one is obviously a very important element. It's an essential element because without it, life here on earth wouldn't exist. When we think of the air element, it's not only something that's residing outside of us, but it's also residing within us. Obviously, when we take a breath, we allow air to flood into our body, and then obviously we expel that air out. But yes, air is definitely crucial to our survival and to life in general. When we think of air, there's a few different kind of attributes we can tie up with air, such as change, movement, flow, non-resistance, and energy. Those are just a few of the things that we can kind of think of air embodying. And when we think of air, we know it's important, but I think it's really interesting to look at it in this term. You can go, multiple days without eating. You go even a few days without drinking water, but you can only go seconds to maybe minutes if you're really good at holding your breath without air. So it is a very, very essential element, and it's very important that we connect to it to really have good health. Now, our breath is actually the second portion of what creates energy within our bodies. In Sanskrit, the term prana, so in terms of like pranayama, which is breath control or breath work, this refers to the word energy and breath. So prana is literally synonymous with both breath and energy, because even back in the day, the people knew that breath was energy for the body. And it truly is. I mean, now we have science to back this up, but this is in Sanskrit, they had this term, right? So for a really long time, we've known that our breath is our energy. Now, when you inhale oxygen, along with obviously other gases that make up our air, the oxygen is going to enter into your lungs and then be distributed throughout the body. And the oxygen, along with the food that you're consuming, is going to be used by your mitochondria to produce what's known as adenosine triphosphate, which is also known as ATP, or just in simpler terms, energy. So we literally know, you can go do your research on this and find out that our mitochondria, which are creating that ATP, that energy, they are using oxygen and then parts of our food combined to create our energy for our body. So literally your breath is your energy for your body. And it's actually really interesting because in pranayama or breath work, a lot of the pranayama that I would do when I was going under my yoga, like my yoga teaching certificate, like when I was taking the classes for that, a lot of the breath work or the pranayama that we would do would include breath holds. And the reason they would do that is because if you can slow your energy, then you can also slow your thoughts, because your thoughts are requiring energy to be produced. So when you slow down the energy in your body, literally holding your breath, you are also slowing down your mind and making it easier to get into a calm state of mind, which was really interesting. I did not know that before going and taking those classes. So that was really interesting, and I figured I should share that on, obviously, the air element. So as I stated, air is a very, very crucial element. It does a lot of different things, obviously, for not only us, but the plants around us and for landscapes. It's, literally helps to shape our world as we know it. And unfortunately, over, the last 100 years or so, our air has taken a huge beating in terms of pollution. We haven't treated our air very kindly at all. And, this is really showing up in a lot of the diseases that are now manifesting, such as asthma and, all these different kinds of respiratory diseases or issues that are coming up. And it's simply because our air quality is truly just of poor quality at this moment in time, which is unfortunate. And, just as with our soil and our water, quality matters, and so does our air. It's the same thing. The quality of our air really, really matters in terms of, taking care of our respiratory health. So in terms of connecting to the air element, there's quite a few different things that we can do, but the first and most important one is simply to get outside and into nature more. So when you're indoors, the air is quite stagnant there. And if you live in a big city, then definitely the air is going to be not only stagnant, but probably having levels of pollution in it as well. So getting outside into nature, or even just getting outside, but specifically into nature, you're going to get a much higher quality level of air out there. And it's going to just be extremely nourishing for your body. Honestly, it smells good when you're out in, the trees and stuff, and you can smell the pine needles or whatever kind of trees are around you. It's very beneficial to get outside and to get that fresh air into your lungs and really purify the lungs in that way. Now, for those of you who do live in a city and you spend a lot of time indoors, getting some houseplants is a really, really great idea to increase the oxygen output in the room and to also help kind of cleanse and purify the air. Obviously, the plants are going to consume the carbon dioxide that you're breathing out, and they're going to produce oxygen for the room, which is going to make the air much better. You can also crack open some windows or a door and allow the air to move around so that it's not staying so stagnant, which is also going to help improve some of the air quality. Obviously, if you do live in a big city, then it might be a little bit hard to get some fresh air that's not, like polluted or something, or maybe just smell bad. So getting some houseplants is definitely going to be key, or even some air filters can be a good idea as well. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do a whole podcast talk on air and not talk about breath work. Breath work, as I already stated, it's just incredible. The ability of it to help you get into deeper meditations, the ability of it to stimulate your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, meaning to either essentially wake you up or allow you to enter into a relaxed and restful kind of state. That's all through air. That's all through breath. Your breath is a function of your autonomic nervous system, which the other functions of your autonomic nervous system are things like temperature regulation of your body, blood pressure, digestion, all these different things that you cannot control consciously, but your breath is one of those things. And obviously you can breathe without thinking about it, but you can also think about breathing and then breathe in a specific pattern. And through doing so, you can alter so many different things in your body. One that I really, really enjoy personally is just the fact that you can activate your parasympathetic nervous system and get into a relaxed state, which a lot of people are having trouble sleeping and just honestly relaxing these days. And so this is a great tool to use to help yourself sleep better, take a load off, and to stop stressing about all the stuff that you have going on in your life. So I really, really enjoy breath work. This was something that before my yoga teacher training, I didn't really practice that often. I would do a little bit of breath of fire, which is a really fast paced breathing. And I would do that typically just when I was doing yoga. I didn't practice it outside of the yoga class. But then when I went into my yoga teacher training and I had to do an hour of breath work every single day, then I was really able to notice that the effect of breath work is very, very tangible, and it's extremely, extremely beneficial. And if you love meditating and you haven't tried breath work, I highly recommend trying some breath work and then meditating. It is quite a game changer and gets you into a very different state in terms of meditation. So definitely give that a go. And on top of that, you can also do specific breath work practices that are cleansing for the lungs. I have in my breath work course that I created, I put in their preparatory pranayama practices, and they are essentially meant to cleanse and purify the lungs and prepare them for the day. So if you haven't already checked out that program, then please go check it out. I'll have it linked in the show notes so you can check it out and get yourself on the breathwork course with me. I have 5 different breathworks on there. One of those is the preparatory pranayamas, but I have one for the morning, one for nighttime, one for stress reduction, so 5 different breathworks in there, and it's an extremely affordable cost. And honestly, I would just love sharing breathwork. I think that the practice is so beneficial for everybody, and it's something that I really enjoy teaching and being able to guide people through a breathwork course. So hopefully you all enjoy that. Check it out; it'll be in the show notes. And then aside from our breathwork, we can also practice exercise. So exercise is, in one way or another, really associated with every single one of the elements, one of the different elements. And in terms of really, connecting to the air element, I really like to do things like walking or running, very kind of like moving with the wind, right? But also just flowy exercises. So this is kind of similar as well to a water element exercise, which would be like a vinyasa flow or something like that, but just essentially, not static postures, something that is very movement based, probably not really much weight involved in it. And we want to keep it light here, obviously, being that this is the air element, but that's a really great way to practice connecting to the air element in terms of exercise. And then in terms of practicing more of a spiritual or emotional practice with air, is simply just practicing letting go of the things that are holding you back and embracing change, right? Because air is always moving. It's never the same. It's creating change all around the world. It's moving clouds from one area to another. It's picking up sand from this area, putting it over here. It's, making dunes in the desert. It's doing so many different things. It's always a change. It's always a movement. And so I think it's important for us to connect to the air element in that way, in which you are embracing the change that is constantly happening in life, because each day is going to be a different day, obviously, and letting go of those things that are holding you back. The air is never, it's not being held back by anything. It's the movement of life. So that's a really great way to connect to the air element as well. And yeah, that's pretty much all of the practices for the air element. In the other episodes, I have mentioned that I'm putting together essentially maybe a couple week course, like 2 weeks, where we really connect to the elements. And, as a group, like I would go through this 2-week class with all of you and really practice on connecting to the elements, just because the benefits of connecting to the elements are so incredible, from improved sleep to improved mental clarity, to improved digestion, to improved health, to improved looks. Everything can be gained through connecting to the elements. So a lot to be had there. Obviously, as a podcast listener to this show, you will be one of the first to hear when this course comes out. And when it does, I will be so excited to guide you all through it and share the benefits of connecting to the elements with all of you, because it truly is the way to be at your best level and connect to your highest level of health, and just really be your best self, to give your best self to everyone around you, which is so important. So anyways, we'll be sure to let you know when that is going to be happening. But until then, there is always the 7-day elemental health reset, which is on my website. I also have that linked in the show notes, so you can always practice that as well, which is a week-long course that is really all about just connecting to the elements. And it's kind of a reset, because obviously there's times in our lives where we get thrown off track. We're eating terribly, we're sleeping terribly, we're just not living in line with what we want to be. And so it's a really great way to get yourself back on track and, connect to the elements. But it really is it's a full body and mind reset. So definitely go ahead and check that out as well. It's in the show notes, as I stated earlier. And if you have enjoyed this show, please share it with a friend, family, loved one, or anyone that can benefit from hearing this message and hearing these episodes. means so much to me to have you guys share these episodes, and also to share them on your social media, such as a story post on Instagram. I love seeing that. I love seeing people sharing their takeaways, and obviously tag me in those. I would love to see it and reshare it as well. And yeah, if you want to connect with me, you can always send me an email. You can connect with me on Instagram. Please, if you aren't already, follow me on there, Elemental Evan. Reach out to me. Tell me what you like about the show, what you want to see different on the show, whatever it may be. Whatever it may be, just please feel free to connect with me on there. And if you want to see the video format of this podcast, then please go ahead and check out the YouTube channel and subscribe on there if you haven't already. I am getting all of these podcasts and putting them into video format as well. So bear with me as I am getting better at it each week. But nonetheless, if you would like to see these episodes, obviously in the film format, then go ahead and check out the YouTube page. And aside from that, just go ahead and subscribe to this podcast if you aren't already, and leave a 5-star review. If you're on Apple Podcasts, you can also leave a written review. And I love to honestly just read everything you guys have to say about the show. So thank you very much, you guys. I appreciate your listenership so much. It means the world to me, and I'm so happy to be able to share all this health and wellness knowledge with all of you. That is the goal of this podcast. It is literally just to provide you with health and wellness information and help you to just live your best self, and take these tools into your own hands and become the master of your health. That's really what this is all about. And I hope I've given you some actionable steps that you can take today, such as doing some breath work, some breathing exercises, or simply just getting some fresh air. It can be so beneficial for your health. So please go ahead and practice those exercises that I've given all of you, and continue tuning in and connect with me. All right. So you already know the motto of the show. It's do everything with good intentions and connect to your elements. Maybe today you connect to your air element a little bit extra. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. I will see you next week on Monday's mini episode. Peace.